Hey, Jesse Moskal here, and I'm super excited to share two tips for you in terms of jobs for copywriters. First, I'm going to tell you about what I know of the industry, and then second, I'm going to tell you how to get some of these jobs as a copywriter. So whether you're starting out or you've already got some experience and you just want to either break into some new industries or increase your lead funnel and your clients list and maybe your cash income, this video will help you do that thing. So first off, let me start with a story, as every good copywriter does. Back in 2015, I went down and presented at the premier copywriting event in the world, as far as I know. It's AWAI's Bootcamp for copywriters. It's in Delray Beach, Florida. And I went down there and I stood in front of 400 copywriters and gave a little speech. After that, a lot of them came up to me and I spoke to them. And what I realized was out of those 400 copywriters, only about 1 in 10 was employed full time as a copywriter. The other 360 are um, still looking for jobs. And that's why I created this video. So question is, where are the jobs? And if you go to the boot camp, you'll quickly see that most of the jobs, most of the high-end jobs that say 1% of copywriters ever achieve are in two areas. They're in financial, where you're writing newsletters, giving stock tips, and so you got to have a really high level of financial markets and be really savvy as a copywriter. It's a very hard place to break into if you're just starting out, so I don't recommend it. The second one is in health. And health, I would say, is a tiny bit easier to break into because, if you're not a stock guru, you might just take some vitamins that, change your life, or at least you're going to have more of an awareness about things that improve your body than you will about the financial markets. But again, health is also very competitive. And I do want to issue a caveat on finance and health, and that is just that those industries have a lot of charlatans in them. There's a lot of money to be made. Everybody wants to lose weight. Everybody wants a magic pill that'll cure everything. And that's one of the allures of becoming a copywriter, because as you can see, I mean, here I am shooting video in my backyard in Los Angeles, and it's not a hell of a lot like work in the sense that traditionally people think of it, right? I don't have a boss. I don't have to report anywhere. I can sleep till noon if I want to. Of course, that's the perception. I was up at 3:30 a.m. this morning, so it is a lot of hard work, but the rewards are great, the freedom is great, and I do recommend, if you're interested at all, to get into it, especially if you're a business owner and you want to branch into writing copy for your own business. Starting out as a copywriter, writing copy for clients, as I did, has been a wonderful path, and I do recommend that. So if, like me, you're not into writing the scammy stuff in financial and health, what are you going to do? Well, I've written out some few of the good areas, I think, and so I'll name them off real quick. You got B2B. Anytime companies are selling to other companies, that's B2B. B2C would be business to consumer. Good example of that is Amazon. Right now, there's tons of people who have products to sell on Amazon, and they need a product description written, or they need some sales copy for that, or maybe a contest, or there's a million things you can write as a copywriter for people who don't know how to write, which is a lot of them, a lot of people out there. Um, excuse me. Then corporate jobs are out there. Typically, corporate jobs will have a full-time on-staff copywriter. Those jobs tend to be a little bit more difficult to get if you're starting out. But once you got some experience, if you want to have a regular 9 to 5 and coworkers and a paycheck, that can be a good way to go. Affiliates, selling for affiliates. I'd say the biggest one is probably ClickBank. Shopify is pretty big. Shopify is a place where you can set up a website and sell your products. Every single one of the sites on Shopify need copy. A lot of business owners do it on their own. A lot of them don't want to do it on their own. So there's a lot of opportunity there. If you want to just see a ton of stuff that people are writing or have written, again, sometimes you get into the scammy stuff a little bit, but the persuasion methods are in full swing at ClickBank. You can head over there and look at any given topic and see kind of top level stuff that's being written in any industry, really. Other big ones that have been successful for me are travel, medical, small business, real estate, legal. There's really pretty much any business that needs writing on their website, or maybe on a billboard or a TV spot, or maybe they send out mailers. All those things require a copywriter. And especially with stuff like that's higher cost to implement, like a TV commercial or a direct response mailer. People don't want to screw that up because they're potentially putting out tens of thousands or more in terms of just paying for the advertising. So they want to make sure the right words are on there to attract as many clients as humanly possible. But like I said, any business pretty much needs copywriting. And if you don't have any clients, that's really going to work to your advantage, because surely you know a few people in business, and there's a fair chance that they might not be paying a professional copywriter. So you can always offer your services for cheap or free just to get your first client or two in the door. I don't always recommend that, and I have a course at copykickstart.com that goes into the whys and so forth of that. There's a link below this video if you want to check it out. I've got a lot of free stuff you can get into. Now, let me get to the second part of this video, which is how to get copywriting jobs. So I've already said you could do one for free or for cheap, just to get your foot in the door and kind of get started. Because typically for most copywriters, when they start out, your confidence isn't going to be super high because you haven't had any success and you're nervous about doing the job. I do recommend getting a coach. That's one way to accelerate your speed into the world of copywriting. It's the way I went. Excuse me. And within 10 months, I went from literally 0 to 10 grand a month. Excuse me, with a coach. And I do recommend that absolutely. If you can afford a coach, get a copywriting coach, a business coach, and it'll make all the difference in the world. Now, most advice, as I said, leans towards making connections and reaching out with things like warm email prospecting or direct mail flyers or door-to-door sales to sell your own copywriting services. And these are all great ways to sell Ginsu knives, but they're not always the best way to sell copywriting. Now, here's the reason why. Gary Halbert said that all you need is a starving crowd. Okay, so if you're thinking about who needs copywriting today, you're sending out emails to people who aren't wanting or requesting to hear from you. They're probably not looking for a copywriter today. Now, I will say those can be good as long as you've got a lot of time. Maybe you've got 6 months of expenses saved up and you're not in a great rush. You will find slightly better quality clients over a longer duration if you have the patience and wherewithal to do that. Now, that said, I'm guessing most of you are probably eager to get a client today, and you're probably not real eager about writing copy for free. Well, personally, I've got a method which has worked really well for me, and I got paid for my first job, and I never wrote a free spec. I never did any copy for free or cheap. I got paid on the first job. I got the job. I went and did it, figured out how to do it, and I got paid to train myself. Now, of course, remember, I had the coach. But this is the way I recommend going, and let me tell you a little bit about how I did it, and then I'll give you a link so you can go check out some more on that. Now, first of all, I just want to mention a couple things about being a copywriter. Money in copy can be great, okay? But as I alluded to a moment ago, it can be rough. It can be rough going in the first few months, because what's going to happen in one month, you'll get 3 clients, and then the next month you'll get 0. And then the next month you'll get 5, and the next month you might only get 1. So it's got a lot of ups and downs. It can be a choppy sea, and the swings in income really require a strong discipline not to spend money when you get it. You've got to really, if you're on a budget and your money's tight, you got to be really careful for 2 reasons. One, because you want to make sure you can pay your mortgage or pay your rent, but number 2, because it's emotional. It's really emotional. And you'll see what I mean when you start doing this, but it's it takes a lot of tenacity to stick with this. A lot of people will have a bad month and they'll get nervous and give up and go back to their day jobs, and that can't be you, not if you want to be successful. You've got to endure the first few months. Things will get better, and again, if you can invest in a copywriting coach, there's really no faster way to the top. Now, I made a lot of copywriting in my first year in the business. As I said, it's not because I'm extra smart or because I had a secret weapon, except a coach. I did one specific tactic, and it works today. It's always worked. It worked 5 years ago when I got in this business, and that is to go into the job boards. The one that everybody's using today is Upwork. Now, I spent a lot of time since then teaching people how to be successful on Upwork. And if you like more clients and more cash, this is where the hungry crowd is. There are literally tens of thousands of clients looking for copywriters today in Upwork. So what you want to do is you want to create a profile, you want to have an intro letter, then you want to be ready for a client that reads your intro letter and says, tell me more. So you got to have a pitch letter. So you get these three components, then you want to have a proposal, and then you want to have a contract. And so when you get these 5 things working, and it does take a lot of tweaking, then you've got yourself what is considered a mini sales funnel. So remember, that's your first job as a copywriter, to win a client. Once you sell yourself to your first client, then you can figure out how to write the job and get paid for it. And then you can sell to his customers. Do a good job on this first one, they'll give you a referral, and you're on to client number 2. This is the path that I took. And again, I was making 10 grand a month and much more just in 10 months. So Upwork is a place, it's kind of a secret weapon, because the common perception is that it's a bunch of bottom feeders and there's a lot of people who don't hire or pay any money. And that was true of me before I had a coach. My first job, I made $20 and I worked all day. It was terrible. Then my coach came along. He said, you got everything wrong. Let me show you that 5-step piece. And from then it's been gravy. Just recently I did a $37,000 contract from a client in Upwork. That's pretty regular for me. Typically I'll bill $10,000 or more per client, and it's all easy to do when you have the formula. So if you click the link below, head on over to copykickstart.com. I will give away the formula for you and help you get going. So that's it on jobs for copywriters. There's plenty of them out there. You just have to have the right approach, and you can win 6 figures or more real fast. All right, this is Jesse. Stay hungry, hustle hard.